welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelly, and my channel is dedicated to talking about topics about how to be more environmentally friendly in a modern context. I wanted to thank everyone for letting me skip one video. I try to get these videos out every 2 weeks. I had intended to get the previous, 2 weeks ago, I wanted to get another video out, but life got busy, and it does take a lot of time and energy to make these videos. So I appreciate your patience when that happens, when I need to take a little bit of a break to recoup from my daily life. But we're going to go ahead and get back right on track, and moving forward, I will try to get these videos out every 2 weeks. So we're going to keep today's video kind of brief too, so it'll be kind of refreshing, just a quick short check-in and to get back into the swing of environmental topics. And so the last video was a heavy one. We talked about Earth Day, and that was a longer video. Today I wanted to talk about donations. Donations is a big one. At the time this video posts, we are kind of getting into spring. And actually half of the business, the reason I am dressed the way I am today is I have been doing some spring cleaning, which comes about this time of year as the weather starts to change. We start going through our closets, maybe stowing some of the winter clothes. And so there's a lot of reasons why we would need to start looking at how to rotate out the things that we no longer use, which is a big environmental topic. Now, one other facet that came about is I have not only been spring cleaning, which involves the closet, rotating out winter clothes, but I did actually have family members pass several years ago, and we are finally getting through the last of organizing their personal effects. And of course, if it's a grandparent or a parent, you come across things that are from each of their lives and of their generations, and that's going to play really into a lot of what's important about looking at donations. Now, let's jump right in and talk about, clothing and furniture. Now, of course, this time of year, like we said, spring cleaning, I need to go out and clean my car as well, vacuum and dust and Armor All. And the closet seems to be, I go through and I say, okay, the winter sweaters, can I put them in a bag and store them? But
while I'm doing that, I definitely do kind of a filter through of my closet to see, okay, what is it that I'm really not wearing a whole lot? Now, of course, and if you've watched this channel, the biggest goal that we ever have is that what you buy, you wear, right? That's your goal. So going into it, you really want to have a closet that is 80% staples, pieces that are matchable, interchangeable, of the color scheme that looks good on you, of the cut that looks good for your body shape, and so forth, where you will not want to give away those pieces. And then 20% of your closet can be more of those staple items, the dramatic pieces, the pieces that, make you feel new and different and good. And especially in springtime, that's what all of us want to do. It's getting warmer and we want to look pretty. Now, when I comb through my closet, one other feature of it is that, I have talked about on this channel about changing over if you are going to replace something or buy something new, have it be organic fabrics, have it be something, organic fabrics are organic or natural fibers, are biodegradable. There's some debate about the term biodegradable or compostable. Basically, if it's a natural fiber, there's a better chance of it actually going back into the ground when it reaches its end life, which is when you throw it away or discard of it. And of course, our goal is to, when it reaches its end life, that it is a natural fiber that does go back into the ground. And then, of course, before it gets to that ultimate destination, we want to wear it out, use it up, wear it out, pass it on, let somebody else wear it, and then, let it have a long, wonderful life, right?
But so when you go through your closet, if you do comb through, and it is a little bit of a Marie Kondo, you have to, a lot of times I like to look at a top. If I haven't worn something in 2 years, like, if it's been 2 spring cleanings and I still have not worn that garment, that item, then it might be, it might be on the kind of the chopping block. It might be on the decision block as to whether or not you want to keep it or part with it. Now, one term that I always hear when I hear about people cleaning their closets is, you might want to just get rid of it. And it's funny, I've even heard environmentalists, just get rid of it. Well, what does get rid of mean? Is it going into a big old trash bag? That's what we're talking about. I like to donate my clothes, and a lot of my clothes are in a really good shape where, and we'll talk about it in a minute. When you talk about donation is kind of like wish cycling. Not everything just magically goes to the thrift store and gets resold, but before you part with it, it's good to comb through your closet. And again, I've done a slow intervention on my closet to try to switch over to natural fibers. If I do buy something new, I try to buy it secondhand first. The goal is to wear it, 30 times. And the other thing that I like to think of is, okay, if I'm not wearing it, why aren't I wearing it? And so one of the reasons why, as you're doing kind of spring cleaning on your closet, one reason why you might not wear something is because it might not be the right color for you. And I've talked about this in a previous video. I actually have a really good book called Life in Color. It was printed a long time ago. I think it's out of print, but it's basically a book where you can take a quiz. You answer questions about your hair color, your eye color, and all of that to figure out a graph, kind of a color chart that looks good on you. Now, this concept's been around forever. I'm sure there's, online quizzes that you can take to do this too. Another really famous, what's the word I'm looking for? Another really famous brand that talks about color charts is Color Me Beautiful. And that's a totally 80s thing. It was, are you a cool winter? Are you a warm autumn? There are color chart schemes that you can do. So this is very easy to do. You could, go to your library and get one of these books and figure out your color chart. Now, the book that I use, Life in Color, really has helped me so much. I swear to you, I swear by that book, because all of my color chart, they call it sun, moon, star, and earth. And I'll tell you guys, I'm a star color chart, which is like really more crisp whites and bright jewel tones. And that color chart has not failed me. There's actually one way that I can kind of tell is that on that color chart, there's one swatch for yellow, and it's a very bright lemon yellow. And that's the tone, like almost like a citrine kind of bright color that looks good on me. Now, there are warmer colors of yellow like marigold, and I actually have a sweater that's organic cotton that I wear, but I can tell that that's a warmer yellow, and it does make me look washed out. So back to the beginning, when you're combing through your closet and saying, hey, I'm doing inventory, ask yourself, have I worn this in 2 years? If you haven't worn it in 2 years, think of the reasons why. And the first reason why is maybe it's not the right color for you. One other way that I like to do it is you can also figure out if, a couple other quick ways for like color tone is usually you're a warm type if you look good in gold jewelry. If you look good in silver jewelry, you're usually a more cool color palette. And then, of course, there's tests here online that you can do that. One other test I like to do is if I hold my hand up to an article of clothing, and if it looks washed out, because believe it or not, cream and earth colors makes me look sick looking, but really bold and cool colors really make it look great. And it's amazing. I can hold my hand, up to one warm tone and I look pallid, I look sickly, and then I hold my hand, or I look really red, it brings out, it makes me look ruddy, it brings out all the bad parts of my skin tone. or I can hold my hand up to something that's compatible and, completely different color. Now, the other thing that you want to bear in mind is the reason that a color might not look good on you is because, I talk a lot about trends on this channel too. A lot of trends sometimes push colors. Like we have a Pantone color of the year. And what was it? Last year it was Very Perry, which is periwinkle. And believe it or not, periwinkle is a warm color. It's you look at it and you think, oh, that's lavender, that's purple, that's cool tone. It's not. It's actually it makes me look really sickly, and I can't wear periwinkle. I can wear cooler tones of lavender, and there's other shades of it that you could go for. But again, before you go to do a purge on your closet and have big bags of donation stuff, ask yourself, is the color palette the reason why I'm not wearing this garment? One other thing in that same vein is that I'm seeing a lot of advertisements where they'll say, oh, it's springtime here. There's this bag that you can get. Just fill it up with all your clothes and they'll recycle them for you. Honestly, guys, that is big time wish cycling. I don't think they actually, and if you have a closet full of fast fashion, that stuff's probably not getting recycled. You're probably just mailing it to the dealer, the offerer of that, for them to either shred it or burn it or do something awful with it. And we'll talk more about that when it comes to Goodwill and things. But I would be very wary of those advertisements that you see that they say, oh, here, we'll give you this big trash bag and you just fill it up with all those clothes you don't wear anymore, mail it back to us, and we'll take care of it for you. That's wish cycling. That I don't think that's probably going to a landfill, guys. So I'd be careful and I'd really scrutinize those advertisements. But so you're going through your closet, you're deciding, okay, I haven't worn this in 2 years. It's been 2 springs and I haven't worn it. So you've ruled out, you can say, okay, is it the color that looks bad on me? Is that why I'm not wearing it? The other thing is the cut of the garment. If I see, again, in the vein of trends, I've seen a lot of slip dresses or column dressing. And I'll tell you guys, I'm pear-shaped. I have a pear body shape. That looks terrible on me. I know. I've been there, done that, tried it, got the t-shirt, got the bobblehead, got the cap. It doesn't look right on me. It's not the right type, And some of these trends you can find, a version of it or a cut of it that's better for your body type. If I've actually, for like a slip dress, the other disadvantage of slip dresses is that they are very revealing. They show, if you're wearing a bra, it shows every line of your bra, it shows every bump of cellulite that you have. So you have to be careful with some of these trends. That might be another reason that you don't wear it, is because you don't want to walk out the house. Well, I don't know. I've seen trends of sheer, where these celebrities are walking out and you think, oh God, okay, dude, you forgot to put the dress on. why are you walking out with no pants on? I don't need to see your underwear. I'm sorry. I love the sheer trend. It's very 90s. I remember the 90s. It was cool because we had all the sheer, but God, it's just, I feel like people are just, I'm not trying to knock it, but it looks like you walked out the house and forgot that last step of putting your clothes on. But with a lot of that sheer too, that could be the reason why, is that, what the second reason why you might not wear it so much is because it's super trendy and not really something that you could actually go out in public in. You know what I mean? So that might be the second question you have to ask yourself. Okay, is this one of those things that I bought on impulse when this trend was super hot, but it's nothing that I can wear to the grocery store, wear to church, wear to work, So that might be a reason why it needs to be purged. A third reason why you might not wear it is because it might be uncomfortable. If you have a tag in the wrong place, or there's a seam that's just this, or and also with the trend of slip dresses, I've seen a lot of tube tops, like tube dressing where there's no straps. I can 100% promise you guys that trend. It looks, my camera is buffering horribly, so I hope you can hear this, but.
But I can promise you with those tube tops, what it is it's just elastic on the top and bottom, and that rolls really, really well. So
it doesn't matter how well endowed you are in the décollage area. You could have a bigger bra size than the rest of us. That's still not going to hold it up. It likes to roll down, and that's another thing that you see the celebrities doing. They'll step out in a beautiful tube top dress, but you see them going like this. They're pulling and tugging, and that would be a third reason why you are not wearing that garment that you're about to purge from your closet, is because it's uncomfortable. It's got a seam in a bad place. It's too tight. It's too, that's the other thing, sizing. If it's too big, too small, we've all been there after the winter months, maybe we've, put on a few pounds and it's just not fitting the way it used to. And of course you want to use your best judgment. Again, if it's been more than 2 seasons, if it's been more than 2 years, and you haven't really worn it, it might be time to part with it. And then, of course, if the cut or the size is just unflattering. So again, with a lot of these trends and, 52 micro seasons, one other reason why you might not be wearing it is because it doesn't look good on you. So now, of course, if you decide, okay, I'm purging this, I want it out of my closet, I don't wear it, the goal moving would always be, okay, the next time I do go to buy something, let's look at, these rules, right? Before you just add to cart and assume that it's going to look on you the way it looks on the model. Look at what it's made of, look at the cut of it, do some research. And you guys I've noticed women, when they're talking about fashion, we are the biggest, we are the Sherlock Holmes of fashion detectiveness. You'll search 20 websites to see if they have the pair of cargo pants and the color and the size you want. Apply that same dedication to seeing what your color chart is, what your skin tone is, what color jewelry looks good on you, what cuts of fashion, look good on your body type. Like I know for pear-shaped, V-necks and heart-shaped necklines are very flattering. A-line, where it pinches at the waist and then flares out, very flattering. If you look at all of that and get that into your brain of like, oh, okay, this is what would look great on me, then you can go in and move forward and not have to part with something because you bought something that just wasn't a good match for you. Now, so once you've combed through your closet, and I have done that, and I actually only had about 2 pieces, so I'm very proud of myself. That's a good job. In the past, I was never that good. But you can comb through and say, okay, what do I need to part with? The other thing is, like we've talked about in other videos here, you want to buy the pieces that you don't want to part with. So I know that it becomes, in fashion right now, they've been talking a lot about quiet luxury, and quiet luxury seems to be those kind of streamlined, basics, no logos and no frills and no fuss. And that does look very elegant. It looks very, it looks very, it does look wealthy. It's stealth wealth, right? It looks beautiful and it looks very professional, and you can wear it to work. You can wear it at home. But, I know that it's going through your closet and saying, okay, I want to have a steady closet full of staples doesn't mean that you can't have the fun pieces. You can absolutely have the fun pieces. Of course, 80% staples, 20% fun and statement. But again, you want to go with those pieces that you're really going to love, that you don't want to part with, right? You want pieces that'll come back around and you can wear again and again and again, because that's how, believe it or not, that's how you stay environmentally friendly. But after you've come through your closet, you said, okay, have I worn it in 2 years? What is it about that I don't like? So moving forward, we don't have to do these type of big purges every single season, every year. You can get it all ready to go to the thrift store or the donation center. Now, most of the time, clothes and shoes and, in good condition. And that's the other reason that I'm really against fast fashion, is because a lot of times fast fashion is just not good quality. If you do wear it once, it still might not be good enough to be donated to the thrift store. And when you get to your thrift stores, the thrift stores, honestly, and this is a proven statistic, they put out about 8% out of 100 of the items that they get. The rest of it is
pretty much going into a landfill. So there is a little bit of wish cycling when it comes to the thrift store. It's not a magic catch-all. And as I mentioned earlier, the other one that I've been seeing is, oh, here, let me give you this big bag, fill it up with all of the clothes you don't want, mail it back to us, and we'll take care of it. That is also wish cycling. I'm seeing a lot of those advertisements on the major social media platforms like Facebook. They're paying for the advertisements. So I really don't think those services are really 100% recycling everything. It's probably the same. It seems like it's about 8% across the board, which isn't much, because the other 92% is probably going into a landfill. So, but the thrift store is still a wonderful place to go. You can go and donate your things, and I do that quite often. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I did have family members who had passed. I had a parent pass about almost 5 years ago now, and then my grandmother passed, more than a decade ago. But when you go through your parents' personal effects, a lot of my grandmother's stuff was mixed in with my dad's stuff. So, and one thing that I came across as I was coming through my dad's stuff was a pair of eyeglasses. He had a lot of eyeglasses. He had about 13 pairs, and they were in great condition, and he had a very strong prescription. And I thought, this is such a waste. I don't want to throw these away. And I actually did a search, and I found a local donation center. Oh, it was fabulous, guys. I was so excited. First off, there's several community things like the Kiwanis group, if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, also collect eyeglasses to be cleaned up and given to anyone who have that prescription. But I took my donation of his eyeglasses to the Society for the Prevention of Blindness. And this was the greatest part about this, guys, is that they actually have a thrift store. Like, they collect things like a thrift store to sell. And anything they sell in that thrift store, the proceeds go to, the Society for the Prevention of Blindness. So it was a little bit of a dangerous store, because I went and I donated the eyeglasses, and then I came out with a bunch of stuff, guys. I found a silk scarf. I found a hat from the 50s. It was great. But so that's the best way to keep it in a cycle. So if you have eyeglasses or you have things like that, you could absolutely, there's donation centers for things like that. Also, your old cell phones, this is where I'm starting to see some of these refurbishing programs go away, and I can kind of understand why. After a certain number of years, the technology becomes difficult to recycle. There is a facility that I looked up that takes old technology too, like old alarm systems. They take old radios, televisions, any old electronics. You can please look up facilities in your area, because there might be one near you that collects that, because you don't want to just throw that into a landfill. That has a lot of technology, monitors, speakers, things like that, headsets, and, coming out of a pandemic, we've got all of this in spades. If there's anything like that, if it's in super good condition, yes, donate it to your thrift store. If it's a little bit older and you're not sure what to do with it, reach out to some of these technology recycling facility places, because there's plenty near you. They're out there. They exist. So do a search for that, and I promise that goes a long way for saving the environment. Actually, TerraCycle has a alkaline battery recycling program that I'm participating in, and then my local recycling center takes any lithium batteries. So those are the rechargeable batteries. So there's a lot of ways that we can keep a lot of this more toxic kind of stuff, toxic waste stuff, and especially from electronics, out of the landfill. So when I went to donate his eyeglasses, and of course I got a few cell phones and cameras and things that I need to look at, but it was really exciting. I got to donate his eyeglasses and let them go to a good cause. One other donation place that I've been working with is that my father was, he was very intelligent. He was an art history major and in the military. So he had a lot of books about history, a lot of books about a variety of different history subjects. And they're beautiful books, out of print. And it's just one of those things, as you comb through this collection, I'm not keeping all of them, but, you comb through and you keep the ones you want. Now, one thing that I've noticed is there are book collection kiosks that I've seen, and there's clothes collection kiosks. What is it? Better World Books. It's just a little metal stand that I have one next to my grocery store. There's a lot of those little collection kiosks out there. And so it's definitely good to go to Better World Books and maybe do a search to see, okay, do you have any of those receptacles near me? And so that's a wonderful way for you, a quick and easy way for you to donate books, Better World Books. And of course, the books just need to be in good condition. Anything much older, if you try to take that to the thrift store, you have about an 8% chance of it actually being put on the floor and sold. Now, a majority of his books, so that's what I did. I donated most of his books to Better World, but then there's a few of the volumes that are a little bit more vintage and actually have to do with nautical history. And believe it or not, I have an appointment tomorrow to go to a vintage bookstore on my coast that actually specializes in that. So I'm going to let them look over some of his more precious books, the ones that I chose not to keep, and see if I can donate them that way. So definitely, when it comes to books and clothes, don't just stop at the thrift store, because the thrift store is a great avenue. A lot of people do shop there. I find gems there all the time, but sometimes you want to take the what you're donating to the place where it would get the most use. The other thing is art supplies. I hear that all the time. Art supplies, get rid of them. When I hear get rid of, I think just you're tossing it in the trash, and there's a lot of plastic with that. I do have some gently used art supplies, like I have Nuvo drops and glue and things like that I've barely used, almost like new condition. Check with your local schools. Check with your local daycare centers. If it's a kid friendly type of, if it's watercolor or crayons or something like that, markers. Check with those facilities to see if they accept donations. I can promise you, teachers love getting craft supplies. I mean, that makes their day. Anything that's in new condition, because it's just going to get used up. And that's the other thing, is if you donate it to a school or preschool, you'll know that it gets, used up pretty well. The other place that I like to go is that I do like to scrapbook, and I have a local scrapbooking places that holds card making classes. And they'll accept lightly used ink pads that I'm not using anymore, that's still good. The only thing they can't accept is anything that is of a certain brand name, like it can't conflict with their branding. But other than that, that's like 95% of the stuff I want to donate can find a great new home there. So definitely, if you have something that that you're not going to use, before you just donate it or wish cycle it at the thrift store, also try to find the best place. One other thing that you might want to do is, if you do take it to a thrift store, think about the area of the thrift store. Like, if you know that the thrift store is in an area where there's a high school right next door, that would probably be the best place for you to do your more trendy clothes, or the clothes that you think that, okay, a teenager or someone who's looking for a prom dress, here's my old, I'm donating my old bridesmaid gown. That would make a perfect prom dress for someone. So think about your timing and thinking about where you're taking it. I know that there's one thrift store called A2 Thrift, and they don't mind getting craft supplies. What they do is they put it in these little, almost like those little goldfish bags, and they kind of parcel it out and put it up for sale for $2.99 for a bag of this knickknacks or whatever. So just bear that in mind. If you've been into your local thrift store and you know that they don't do that, they don't accept little smaller things, seek out and go to the areas where you know that they accept that type of donation, and you think that it would be a good sale for them, because that's the way that you're going to make sure that it gets back into the world and not just going into a landfill. Last but not least, in the donation field, anything that is home improvement, and that's a huge one. If you feel like you no longer need a piece of furniture, or you've redone the cabinets in your kitchen and the cabinets that you have are completely fine, you just wanted a different style, there is a store with Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity has stores called Rehome, or I'm sorry, Restore. It's called Restore. I always call it Rehome because it feels like home walking in there. But Habitat for Humanity Restore, what they do is they take donations of furniture, chandeliers, any building materials. I've walked in there and they've had stoves, they've had washers and dryers, they have dining sets. They have, I've seen trash cans and, basically clean stuff that, because the other consideration is if you take something big like a couch, your thrift store is, space is at a premium. They can't fill their entire space up with nothing but furniture. So if they can't take the piece, then they might end up throwing it away. And again, know that you're a type of thrift store. If it's more building materials or, a dresser or a nightstand or, something that's more home related, and they have cabinets, I saw, they had the doors to closets, they have everything there. And the wonderful thing is that all the donations, all of the proceeds go to help Habitat for Humanity, where they build homes for people in need. And the other thing is that I can go in there. I go in there all the time and I find some great pieces. It's like the furniture, it's like a furniture thrift store. And I see some great pieces that have a lot of potential. You see, bed frames and everything else. So definitely check out your Restore place. I actually had to donate some end tables. That was one other thing that came from my dad's belongings. They were beautiful end tables. I just don't have the space for them, and I wouldn't use them. So I donated them and let them find a new home, and let the proceeds go to a good cause. So that would be pretty much everything for donations. It's a great way to keep the circle going. And yes, it does take a little bit more work. It's not it's not a one and done trip. It's not like you can just go to, back up your car at the thrift store and dump it all out. But when you do that, if you just go to the thrift store and dump it all out, then you've got a 98% chance of it not going to a good place. So, sorting it out, thinking about where it's going, kind of doing the extra trips, that goes a long way to making sure that your donations are going to go back out into the world and have a second, third, fourth, or fifth life. And last thing in closing, when it does come to, things like housewares and clothing and stuff like that, the best thing for donations is always to not buy it if you don't need it, because what you don't, I saw an article that talked about how there's a word for it. There's an expenditure that we do that's not needed. It's just cutesy. We spend money on merchandise that really doesn't have a function. It's superfluous. It's cute. It's not functional, and those are the things that are destined. That's what's going to end up going into the donation bin. Later. Same thing at the holidays. Like when you get mindful about like Christmas purchases, really think about it. Especially with clothes and furniture and things like that. Is this just something that's, like a campy gift, or is this something that I'm going to really need and use? But all right, guys. Well, I just wanted to share that with you because it has been an adventure. That is also half the reason that I haven't been getting my videos out as much, is because, I've been keeping pretty busy this spring, sorting through things and getting organized. It really does open my eyes, when you go through the personal effects of someone. It does kind of make you think you know, about the things that you own, you know, what's of value to you. You know, it's funny, you know, going through my grandmother's stuff, she likes to collect matchbooks. So it's funny, I'm keeping them all too. I like her matchbooks. She also likes wooden nickels, which I never knew was that big of a thing. But so I have a cup of wooden nickels, and I've got matchbooks, and then, you know, and I've got books from my dad. So, you know, as I go through this and do my spring cleaning, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, the things I own, you know, what they mean to me. And I'm definitely combing through and seeing what really needs to be donated and what doesn't. But I hope that you have a good spring, that you're enjoying the first days of it getting warmer. I do promise you I will try to make sure that I get these out every 2 weeks. If I take a break here and there, it'll just be every once in a while, you know, to rest up. But I thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.